Microsoft Access. I am Patricia Douglas, adjunct faculty at Austin Community College. In this lesson, we will talk about data. What is data? Data is the basis for a database. It is raw facts like first name, last name, or birthday. It needs to be organized to have some meaning. Connecting first name, last name, and birthday together for a person creates information. What is a field? A field in a database is used to define and store data. It can be text or numbers. It has a name and a value. What is a record? A record is a collection of fields describing a person, place, or thing. It's similar to a row in a spreadsheet. What is a file? In a file system, a file is a set of logically related records. In a database, a table is a set of logically related records, and the database is the collection of all of the tables. In our database, we will work with data, fields, records, and files. Here are some definitions you will need to work with databases. Databases are used for decision making. To make good decisions, we need to have accurate, current information in our database. There are several database designs: hierarchical databases, network databases, and relational databases. We will be learning about relational databases. File systems are another way to work with data. All the data is stored in records in a file. A computer program is written to read, update, and report on the data. With file systems, we had structural dependence in our data. We would need to change our programs if we wanted to change the size of the data in a field. If the last name is 25 characters, the last name will always use 25 characters. This means that our file also has data dependence. Changing the data types also means changing all programs that use the data. If you change the format of a date, you would have to change all programs that use that date. If you needed more characters in the last name field than 25, you would have to change all programs, change the data to the larger amount of data, and then change all programs that used it. File systems have limitations. You need extensive programming for any changes. You don't have many security features, and they tend to contain redundant data. Some data is stored more than once. In a database system, databases were invented to correct some of the problems with file systems. A database system contains logically related data stored in a single repository. It doesn't have to be in one location. The database is created and maintained with a database management system. The database management system, DBMS, takes care of storing, defining, managing all access paths and components to the data. There are 5 major parts to a database system. Hardware is all the system's physical devices, all the computers that are used with the database system. Software is the operating system software, the DBMS software, and application programs and utility programs. The people who use the system are all of the users of the database: the programmers, the users, the administrators, and the designers. Procedures are the instructions and rules for the design and use of the database. Data is the collection of facts that are stored in the database. The database system provides the framework in which the procedures and standards are enforced. Human role changes from programming to managing and retrieving information from the resources. The database system allows you to create more sophisticated use of the data. And the data structures within the database and their relationships help determine the effectiveness of retrieval of the data and the speed of the retrieval. Naming conventions. Some rules for naming fields. Store the name as 3 parts, the first, middle, and last, not as a single field. Make the field names descriptive: last name, first name or middle initial. Field names will be self-documenting and descriptive to the users. We would like the data to be stored in one place, not multiple places. If data is stored more than one time, it can lead to abnormalities in the data, update, insertion, and deletion abnormalities. Data stored in multiple locations also leads to islands of information. Data might be updated in one location but not in another. Then you don't know which data is accurate. Data anomalies are problems that we run into when changes are made in redundant data but not made correctly. We have update anomalies, insertion anomalies, and deletion anomalies. Update anomalies mean some records might be updated and some might not be. Some names might be spelled correctly in one place and different in another place. Insertion anomalies, you may have to add fictional data just to have something in the record. Deletion anomalies mean deleting a record may delete information that's only used in that record, and you won't have that information anywhere else. Here's an example. What data anomalies do you see here? In the update, if you have several donors who are donating several times, like Chris Ziegler is donating many times. If we misspell Chris's name, then we won't know whether it's the same person or not. Insertion anomalies. We have to type the information for the agency every time. If there's not an agency listed, you have to make up some from that agency or leave it blank. Deletion. If you delete a record for a person donating and that's the only record for an agency, you lose the information about the agency too. Database functions. What does a database management system really do? There's a database dictionary where it automatically keeps track of tables, relationships, field names, data types, and where they're used. It creates and manages all structures for storing and retrieving data. Makes database performance more efficient. Allows different formats for data types. You can store a date or see a date as May 1st, 2015, or 5/1/15, or 5/1/2015. It enforces user security with passwords and data views. Allows multiple users to access the system at once. It manages backup and recovery. It manages data integrity by enforcing entity integrity and referential integrity. It provides SQL as a language to access the database. Along with database advantages, there are some disadvantages. DBMS systems are expensive. You need to keep the DBMS updated. There will be different versions coming out from the vendor, and you will need to decide when and how to upgrade to those new versions. Maintenance is expensive. Vendor dependence. Once you've chosen a vendor, it's hard to change to another vendor because the reports, fields, queries you've created in one system may have to be changed to go to a new system.